Yo, whoa, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I bring you guys a brand new video today, and today we are diving into a new tier list for Pokemon Unite with the addition of Dragonite. And I am joined by a very, very epic guest today, the #1 player in North America, and actually he was previously #1 on the leaderboards, my man, Team Shiny's Rhinne. What's going on, dude?
Yo, what's up, YouTube?
So, for those that don't know, guys, Rhinne is the jungler on Team Shiny, which is my esports team, and the dude is absolutely insane at the game, and again, recently hit #1 on the ladder, so congratulations on that. So we have an incredible perspective today for this tier list, so be sure to like the video if you guys enjoy it, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and don't forget to check out Rhinne in the description below. He does gameplay videos, guides, and much, much more, and what better place to get your information than from the guy who was #1. I mean, it's hard to beat that. So very excited to have your take, Rhinne, and just again, congratulations on continuing to dominate in Pokemon Unite. And we've got a lot of Pokemon to break down, so we're gonna dive into it one at a time. But first, I got something special for you guys. Before we jump into the video, I have to tell you guys about this epic Christmas campaign with my friends at Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Thanks for sponsoring. Mobile Legends Bang Bang is a 5v5 multiplayer online battle arena or MOBA game designed for mobile phones. It's one of the top mobile MOBA games, and it's so easy for everyone to play. It takes just 10 seconds to get a match, and they're just 10-minute battles, so you can keep the action going all day long. Mobile Legends Bang Bang has also collaborated with a ton of your favorite and some of the most famous franchises of all time, like Star Wars and Transformers. There's even more exciting collaborations coming in North America soon. My friends at Mobile Legends Bang Bang are doing a huge $10,000 Amazon gift card giveaway to the community to celebrate the Christmas season. And everyone can join in just a few simple steps, and it's super fun. Check the link in the description, add your photo, and pick your favorite frame. Add your contact info for when you win, and share with your friends online. The more you share, the higher your chance to win big. And also, use the link in the description below to download Mobile Legends Bang Bang right now. Using code XMASADRIVE will give you a random skin chest in the game, and if you get to level 5, you can complete tasks in the game to get M coins. You can find more information in the description below. Mobile Legends Bang Bang is the game to play this holiday season. Share your photo and win big. Thanks again to Mobile Legends Bang Bang for sponsoring today's video. Let's dive in.
Victory!
All right, so we're gonna go one at a time, and Rhinne is gonna kick things off. We kind of separated Pokemon out based on the ones we play most. So, Rhinne, why don't you take things and get started with Talonflame?
All right, so first up is going to be Talonflame. So I think Talonflame, the nerfs hit him pretty heavily. I think he's kind of like a B tier character now. So the fly nerfs hurt him pretty bad, but both sets are pretty decent on him. He's still an assassin, but I don't see a reason to play a character like Talonflame when other better assassins exist in the game.
Fair enough. I'm gonna be diving into Crustle. Now, Rhinne has put Crustle in F tier, which hurts my soul a little bit. Crustle had some interesting changes to him, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Rhinne, but Crustle now has a stronger boosted auto attack, but he lost the crits on his Stealth Rock, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, so he can't crit on any ability besides X's, I believe, which is a huge nerf to him because he can't play like the backup strategy anymore with insane damage.
Yeah, so losing those crits takes away his ability to farm kind of the map a lot faster. He still does have the ability to kind of zoom around the map and do backcaps, but again, losing those critical hits, which is a strategy utilized with Scope Lens, really puts Crustle in an awkward spot, and the only composition you're really seeing him on is a team that's basically just all going backcap, ignoring objectives, and just trying to score more points without really focusing on the actual competition of the game, like team fights and stuff. And for that reason, Crustle is just, it's not a good mon right now.
So for Sylveon, I think Sylveon's actually a pretty underrated attacker. I'd put her at like low A tier. I think last patch, especially with like the EXP changes to bot lane, when we're running the trio bot lane, you can consistently hit level 4 even if you lose the early Aldinos. And so I think that's pretty potent. I think she can go toe-to-toe with the likes of Pikachu or Venusaur, which are other prominent attackers in the meta. I think Sylveon is pretty underutilized and just a good character overall.
Up next, we've got Wigglytuff, which typically plays the defender slot, even though it's a supporter. And we've decided to put Wigglytuff in S tier as one of the premier Pokemon in the game. It recently did get some changes to its Unite move, which kind of lowered the effectiveness of that with its duration. But much like Rhinne said about Sylveon, getting to level 4 is very obtainable in the early game, and Sing is such a powerful ability in that early laning phase. And again, it just provides so much team support when you get into those engagements at Dreadnought, Rotom, and of course Zapdos. Its Unite move is one of the best in the game, even with the nerfs. So being able to kind of nullify opposing Pokemon with Sing, and then ultimately being able to kind of protect your own team, just puts Wigglytuff above a lot of the other Pokemon in the Unite metagame right now.
So next up on the list, we have Machamp, and this is one of my most played characters actually in this patch. I think Machamp is like a B tier character. I think he's a pretty decent jungler. I think you should probably be playing him jungle in that top lane because he can't contest Lucario. The only issue Machamp really actually has two issues. One is you can't do objectives very quickly, and then the second issue is you're not going to be level 9 before Dreadnought, and he's a very ultra-reliant character. So this means that you're likely going to have to concede first Dread. With that said, his ult can literally one-shot carries, so that is pretty insane. Imagine you're in a team fight at Zapdos and your Greninja just goes by instantly, and now you're fighting a 4v5. That's Machamp for you.
Up next, we have Venusaur, which recently got some changes to it as well, kind of losing the ability to chase opposing Pokemon down, but we still feel that it falls into A tier. I'm curious to see how Solar Beam kind of plays out over the coming weeks since the newest update, but Venusaur has been a menace ever since it had that buff to Giga Drain and Petal Dance, and it has a relatively kind of slow start, but once it hits that Petal Dance and Giga Drain combination, then it's able to kind of chase down opposing Pokemon and deal a lot of damage. Dive opposing teams and sustain in team fights for a long time. So for now, we're going to actually keep it in A tier as one of the premier attackers, especially in the 3 bot lane. Rhinne, do you think that there's any world where you're using Venusaur in jungle right now, or you're typically just the 3 bot?
We have some really strong junglers right now. Like after the patch, they buffed so many things about different junglers. I don't even think it's worth running Venusaur in the jungle anymore. I don't think it's been worth it since pretty much it got nerfed.
Fair enough. All right, Rhinne, why don't you tell us about Zeraora?
So Zeraora is a character that I played a lot of. I pulled it out in tournaments that we've won. He has gotten a lot of nerfs. They nerfed Discharge, they nerfed Spark, they've nerfed Wild Charge, they nerfed a lot of things about him. He is currently bugged, so he's technically better than he should be, but I think he's like a B tier character. He's not like the best assassin anymore. His ult isn't like absolutely insane, like one-shotting you with like Discharge combos or whatever. He doesn't shred objectives as fast as he used to. He's just like a decent character. I think the build on him is like Spark Wild Charge right now, and that's not like enough to carry a team fight, I guess.
Up next is Mamoswine, who received a lot of changes recently with the evolution changes, getting his final evolution at level 9 as opposed to level 10, which is actually massive for him. And then the biggest change really is the update to high horsepower. We're gonna actually put Mamoswine in B tier here. Mamoswine has a really strong early game with Tackle and Ice Shard being able to secure those Odinos and the farm on the map, or I guess they're Ice Qs now. Able to secure the farm on the map, and it doesn't drop off as hard mid to late game now with those evolution changes. His ability to push opposing Pokemon and single out the attackers like Pikachu allow Mamoswine to kind of shine right now, and I'm actually a huge fan of this Pokemon right now. I feel like Ice Fang is really, really strong. I feel like high horsepower is very, very strong as well. His Unite move leaves a little bit to be desired, but in the defender slot, it still holds up, and I think these latest changes have made it a relatively viable pick in the competitive metagame.
So Charizard is another pick that we pulled out in tournaments and won, to the surprise of many. I think currently Charizard's like a C tier character. So my reasoning for this is it is currently a full heal meta and it is currently a Wiggly meta, and both those give you Unstoppable. If you don't know, Unstoppable will stop Charizard from being able to use his ult at all. If you use your ult on an unstoppable target, it'll go to 90%. And as we know, Charizard is an extremely ultra-reliant character, so pretty much not being able to use your ult in team fights until way late in the fight is extremely bad. If Wiggly wasn't so prevalent and full heal wasn't so prevalent, I think Charizard would actually be a really good character.
Up next, we have Mr. Mime, which we actually are going to put into the A tier, believe it or not. Mr. Mime is very, very strong still in the 3 bot lane strategy. He's got a very good Unite move that allows it to stun opposing Pokemon, but this is another Pokemon that once it hits level 4, it essentially gets its full kit with Confusion, being able to shred through the various spawns like the Bearticks and the Cubchews, or bees as we know them on the previous map. It also can just deal massive amount of damage to the squishies by banging them up against walls. So Mime is pretty much unchanged for a while, but it's very, very strong, and it has even decent secure before Confusion. So just ability to secure, ability to chip down those squishy Pokemon, and actually zone things off from your team or zone off specific Pokemon with its walls makes Mime just have such a unique kind of place in the metagame right now, and definitely functions in kind of that tank slot in the 3 bottom strategy.
So Lucario is pretty much the poster child of this game. For some reason, they refuse to touch this character and nerf him in a meaningful way. I think Lucario belongs in S tier. He is literally the god of this game. It seems like they're literally never going to remove him from the meta. He has insane early game. Nobody can contest him in the solo top lane. He has insane mid game with extreme speed. He is probably the strongest character, probably even stronger than your jungler at Dreadnought, the first one that is. And then he actually scales pretty decently as well. He has good backcap potential. He can threaten carries. He just does so much. This character is absolutely insane. He's great objective secure. Even if you don't go pup, your ult is still really good objective secure if you're standing right on top of it. Lucario is insane. Nerf this character.
Now, Rhinne, I gotta ask you, do you think, or would you prefer the game to go back to a 2-1-2 strategy as opposed to a 3 bot lane strategy? And do you think the only way we get there is Lucario getting nerfed, or do you think that there's a character that can simply just counter it and change things back to a 2-1-2?
I don't think 2-1-2 is viable. I know Japan runs it a lot, but every time you run into Japan, that doesn't seem to work out very well for them. But I think even if Lucario is nerfed, I think 1-1-3 is still prevalent. You can play things like Flaillax top. That sounds really troll. It's actually pretty decent right now. Stuff like Flaillax, maybe even like Zera or Absol or something. Like there are other top laners you can play that can actually fulfill the 1-1-3 very well. I think the meta would probably be more healthy if it was 2-1-2. You'd probably see a lot more character diversity. We wouldn't see like guaranteed attacker, support, defender, bot, or whatever. Maybe we'd see like diversity in jungle picks. I don't know. I feel like 2-1-2 is better for the game, and it involves more skill expression as well.
Up next, we got Snorlax here, which we're actually going to put in B tier as well as another defender. The thing about Snorlax is he did get some nice positive changes, getting its heavy slam at level 5 instead of level 6, and also getting his block a level early, which is pretty big for Snorlax. But his early game secure is super great with tackle, being able to grab those ice cubes and Audinos. But ultimately right now, it's just a lot of Pokemon kind of stand above Snorlax. I think he's still like very viable and can still be really good. His ability to block things off of the team and kind of block opposing Pokemon from objectives is something that no other Pokemon can really do in the same way. But he's just kind of average at best right now in terms of how everything is playing out. What do you think needs to change, Rhinne, for Lax to kind of be the premier defender again?
Honestly, full heal meta needs to just get wiped away. I don't know. They need to nerf it somehow. They need to nerf the cooldown, maybe the effectiveness. I don't know, something like that. It'll make more defenders rise up. Characters like Mamoswine, characters like Snorlax, they benefit a lot from this. So
yeah, fair points.
Weirdly, actually, Mime and Wigglytuff. I guess all the defenders actually get nerfed by full heal meta. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah, I think the thing is, Wiggly is so quickly able to engage, pop a full heal, like the opposing Pokemon pops a full heal, and then it could just kind of re-engage, and there's not a whole lot you can do. Snorlax is a little bit more situational, and I don't think quite gets those same opportunities as Wiggly Sing does. So kind of missing a block or having them full heal out of a block is a lot more detrimental than them like full healing out of a Sing, and then you could just kind of re-Sing. So well, I'll let Rhinne jump on Decidueye now, one of the newer characters to the game.
So Decidueye was pretty much the standard ADC you've ever seen in any other MOBA. So if you ever played League, a character like Jinx or whatever, this character I think is not that good. It is extremely team reliant. I think he belongs in B tier. He's not amazing. He takes a lot of effort to make work. You have to have your supports sit on top of him. He doesn't really do too much. Like, I don't know why I'd play this character over the other ADCs in the game right now. His ult is pretty bad in team fights. You have to use it preemptively, or you have to use it at the end of the fight, which means it isn't getting impacts during the fight, which I think is a big negative for him. And then his first Dreadnought is also really, really bad. So you have to play for second Dreadnought with Razor Leaf level 11, and that's pretty bad too. He doesn't justify doing that.
What are your thoughts on the recent changes to Spirit Shackle? Does that change your thoughts on Decidueye at all, or not really?
I still think he's really bad at the first Dreadnought, but Spirit Shackle buff is interesting into certain squishy team comps. But I think the team comps being run right now, Spirit Shackle doesn't really do too much into, because you probably want Razor Leaf into all those comps anyway, because they're all really beefy.
Fair enough. Up next, we've got Pikachu, and I think it's no coincidence that they drop a new Pikachu skin with the Battle Pass, and then they go on and buff Pikachu once again. We're going to throw Pikachu into S tier, believe it or not. Pikachu has been a solid Pokemon as an early game laner for a long time because of its ability to trap with Electro Web and then deal massive damage with Electro Ball and Thunderbolt, which recently has gotten buffs. But now they decided to reduce the cooldown on its Unite move. So basically increase the charging speed of its Unite move, allowing it to get off more Unites than really almost any other Pokemon in the game. Combine that with, again, its early game laning, its ability to stun, and deal pretty good damage throughout the mid to late game, and then just pop unites every team fight. Pikachu is one of the premier, if not the premier attacker slot Pokemon right now, and it's very good with that Unite buff, that's for sure.
Side note, Pikachu's Unite move is the same cooldown as Talonflames, and we all know how crazy that is, so just think about that for a second. So Absol is a character I know a lot of people love. I think he's pretty cool thematically. That being said, I don't think he's too good in a competitive situation. I think he belongs in C tier, around where Charizard is. The biggest problem with Absol is you can win first dread, but even that's not a guarantee. But after winning first dread, what do you really do? In teamfights, you're pretty lackluster. You don't do much damage. You're extremely squishy. Your ult is useless. You are very prone to CC. You'll just get blown up. There's really not much you can do. At Zapdos, you're virtually useless. You have to play like a backcap strategy with this kind of character, and well, I don't think the backcap strategy really works out too well.
Up next, we have Eldegoss, which is and has been the premier support Pokemon in the game for a very long time, and Eldegoss is going to remain in S tier despite some changes to Leaf Tornado. The thing that sets Eldegoss apart is it has that ranged attacking ability as a support, so it's able to kind of stay away from the opposing Pokemon. It's got a great Unite move that can not only heal, but kind of actually deal damage when it splashes down, so that's really solid. And even though it's been tweaked a little bit, I think Eldegoss is going to kind of reign supreme right now in a 3-bottom strategy because it is ranged, and kind of the next closest thing that would compete with it is Blissey, but that's a melee Pokemon, and it kind of, the two separations, you generally want to have those two ranged characters in the bot lane to be able to kind of poke as you have something kind of in the front lines like a Snorlax or a Wigglytuff. So with all that being said, Eldegoss reigns supreme here. I think the only way this really changes is if they make some significant adjustments to Eldegoss or introduce another supporter. Any further thoughts on that, Rhinne?
There is some play with Slowbro bot right now instead of the Eldegoss, but I think those comps are worse than the Eldegoss comps. They're just kind of being tried for novelty. I don't think it's bad though. I think Eldegoss can potentially be removed. We'll have to see like team comp shifts for it though.
Now Gardevoir recently received some pretty significant buffs and then nerfs. What do you think about Gardevoir right now?
So Gardevoir is a pretty strong character. It's kind of funny that they nerfed her after only 1 week of ever being viable. I think after the nerf, she's A tier. Before the nerfs, I think she was probably the strongest jungler in the game. Well, not probably. I know for a fact she was the strongest jungler in the game. After the nerfs, Psyshock tickles, so you're pretty much never going Psyshock. It's always a future sight angle. You're really strong at first Dreadnought. You're really strong at first Bees, even after the Psyshock nerfs. I still think Gardevoir is a premier jungler. I just don't think she has the potency she did before, where you can just take Psyshock, absolutely ruin the enemy top laner's day, destroy Bees, and then continue to snowball through first Dread. Now you have to actually like kind of play for like a later game with future sight.
Up next, we have Blastoise, which was at one point a premier character, but after all the adjustments to Rapid Spin and apparent bugs with that and Water Spout, it's kind of fallen into the realm of C tier. We have it here. Generally, you're going to be running Hydro Pump and Surf, which is cool to kind of push opposing Pokemon off of objectives. It does still have a really good Unite move, which has been kind of nerfed and weakened as well, but very good for securing objectives. But at this current state, the way things are playing out, there's just so many better defenders right now that you could be rocking. Snorlax, Mamoswine, Wigglytuff in that slot, Mime in that slot. It's really hard to justify fitting Blastoise onto a team comp right now when the other kits are just simply better.
So I think Gengar had like a little bit of a shining moment at like the start of the game, and they nerfed him probably unjustifiably, and now he's been garbage ever since. I think Gengar belongs at D tier. He's not quite as useless as Crustle, but it's really hard to make him work. Full heal ruins his day, so you can't run Sludge Hex because you just get full healed and you lose. Wiggly ruins his day because you just get full healed and you lose. CC ruins his day. He has terrible early game. He can't win first Dreadnought. He can't contest Bees. He can't really do much of anything. If you go the Hex build, you are literally worthless until you hit like level 9 or so. If you go the Shadow Ball build, well, you're only hitting a single target, and Buddy Bears are going to take care of that 100% because you can't burst through them. So I think Gengar is pretty lackluster, to say the least.
Up next, we have Slowbro, which has received quite a few adjustments over as of late. They just recently adjusted Amnesia to increase both of his defenses, if I'm not mistaken. And we're actually going to put Slowbro in A tier here. So his ability to kind of sustain a team fight with Amnesia, allowing him to heal himself up. He's got obviously the ability to surf and kind of stun opposing Pokemon. With that, he's a ranged attacker, much like Eldegoss is, as we kind of alluded to earlier, being able to kind of stay away from the opposing team and kind of chip away with multiple little basic attacks and then firing off water guns. Hits level 4, and then it can kind of put in some work there. So Not to mention, its Unite move is very, very much so incredible in a team fight, being able to single out a specific target and essentially isolate them and remove them from the fight. If you can do that at a big fight before they're able to go with their Unite move, you can turn the tides of a fight pretty quickly with Slowbro. So that allows them to kind of stand out from a lot of the other Pokemon right now and increases viability probably more than we would have ever seen coming, because Slowbro was pretty bad at one point.
So Cinderace actually got a really interesting buff this patch. They made it so Blaze Kick, you can jump off in any direction, you can animation cancel it with Flame Charge, and then they gave it a giant attack speed steroid. I think Cinder belongs in the borderline between A or S. We're going to put him at the top of A for now. This character is extremely strong right now. So you have the ability to chase, you have the ability to run away, you have a great ability to kite. He does well into a lot of meta characters right now, like Lucario. He can actually deal with extreme speed Lucario by going Blaze Kick now. He absolutely shreds people, he shreds objectives, he destroys entire teams. The Blaze Kick buff, it was absolutely insane. I think even before, when he was running Pyro, it was pretty good, but Blaze Kick is just off the charts now. It might actually be an S tier character now.
Up next, we have Blissey, another support Pokemon, and Blissey and Eldegoss have kind of fought for that top spot for a while, but Eldegoss continues to reign supreme. And again, I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that Eldegoss is ranged and just functions better in a 3 bottom strategy right now. Blissey does have really solid secure in the early game, and it has a couple really cool things in its kit, like soft build, able to heal your teammates, and it can use obviously safeguard to prevent statuses. You've obviously got helping hand to kind of increase your own attack speed and help out an ally not only with movement and beyond, but right now it just feels like Eldegoss is a much better character, and we really don't see Blissey being played at all. I'm actually curious, Rhinne, if there was anything you can do to change Blissey to make it more viable, what would that be?
I think just nerfs to Eldegoss might make Blissey more viable. I don't think Blissey needs changes per se, I just think Eldegoss needs to be tuned down. I think Blissey's actually not too bad right now. We've been seeing a little bit of play with it. People have been running Fluffy Tail Blissey Defender, which has been working strangely well.
Fair enough. Well, I know this next Pokemon you're excited to talk about. Tell us about Tsereena, one of the newest additions.
So Tsereena was actually the pick that we ran for the tournament on Friday. I ended up running it despite not thinking that it was the strongest jungler, just because it was the one I enjoyed the most. I'd put Tsereena currently in A tier after the nerfs. Even before the nerfs, I'd probably put her in A tier. So the problem with Tsereena in a competitive environment is, I alluded to it earlier, a character like Cinder can deal with those kinds of characters pretty well. So after Blaze Kick being buffed, he deals with Tsereena pretty well. Tsereena can't be played top into Lucario, and Tsereena gets rolled by Gardevoir because she just moonblasts your face and you can't do anything. It's really hard to engage in team fights. And yeah, this character looks really good in solo queue because you're absolutely face rolling enemies, and she does pretty well in 1v1s, but unfortunately team play is not 1v1s, and she has to dive in order to be able to do anything, and CC is her bane. If they have a Wiggly, if they have a Gardevoir, if they have Blaze Kick, if they have whatever, you're not having a good day as a Tsereena. Plus, with the prevalence of Slowbro in the meta now, Tsereena feels good, but not amazing. She's certainly a good character. I'm making her probably sound worse than she actually is. She is definitely a good character. She has a lot of merits. Her first Dreadnought is probably the strongest in the game. She can still do the same things at level 6 that she did before, where she just tower dives and kills your entire team and there's nothing you can do about it. But she doesn't scale the best.
Up next, we have Greedent, which was one of the most frustrating characters to play against. In fact, that was probably the least enjoyable period of time when Greedent was meta. We actually have Greedent in A tier right now, and it still can do what it did, right? It still has Covet, it can still kind of zoom around the map. I think they made some tweaks to Covet to make it a little less Mario Kart, like you're driving around like a, someone who's had too many adult beverages. But this thing can still deal some pretty solid damage with Belch, but it can't quite spam it as much. So because of that, Greedent has kind of fallen down, but honestly, I just don't want to see this thing at all. I'm like I said, this thing like ruined my experience in the game for a long time. I'm sure Rhinne could say the same thing. It was not fun to play against, but still a relatively solid pick because of its mobility, its ability to still deal decent damage, and it's got a pretty solid Unite move as well.
One thing to note for Greedent is that he actually enables a lot of really weird strategies. So there's a lot of strategies that involve him just instantly invading the enemy jungler. Like if you remember the old Lucario strategy with doing that, now people do that on Greedent. There's like backcap strategies where it's really prevalent in Japan, where they'll just go do nothing but score goals the entire time and ignore everything else and play for Rotom. Greedent is very prominent in those kind of comps, and that's why he's in A tier. So actually, Greninja got a really interesting change with this patch as well. So this patch, they changed a lot of the animations for skills, so you can use skills like Surf and your auto attacks much more cleanly. Because of this, I think Greninja is A tier. I think Surf is insanely good right now. I think it is one of the best assassin builds in the game. With the animation cancels, the amount of damage that actually got added to his kit and the amount of fluidity he actually has now is pretty insane. I think Greninja is very, very solid as a pick.
Cramorant has been relatively unchanged for a while now. Still a super good early game Pokemon with Whirlpool, being able to shred those farms and be pretty devastating for those first Bs, and Hurricane and Surf is a really nice combination. It does have an incredible Unite move as well, which allows you to kind of zone off opposing Pokemon and zone them off from objectives and absolutely shred them. But it's been a little bit underwhelming because it's basically a character that mid to late game is basically just a Unite button. Even though it can combo pretty strongly with Surf Hurricane, it just gets dove onto pretty hardcore, and you could try to run Air Slash to try to get away and give yourself a little bit more mobility with Dive, but I feel like it kind of is just a Unite button, and there's just better options right now.
So Ninetales is a character that just got changed again. Well, not just, like 2 patches ago got changed, and they buffed the Blizzard variant of her. I think she belongs in C tier right now. So I see no reason to run Ninetales when a character like Pikachu exists. Ninetales' biggest downfall is that her Unite move makes her extremely vulnerable, whereas Pikachu's lets him move freely. They both have insanely good early games, the difference being Ninetales has to be pretty up close to you and is hard countered by full heal, whereas Pikachu can poke you from pretty far range and has the ability to move away, unlike Ninetales is a very stationary target to dive.
I'm gonna let Rhinne take the last 2 as well, so Rhinne, talk to me about Garchomp.
So Garchomp is one of the characters that actually got affected by the level changes, where he evolves at level 5 and level 7 now, and he gets his ult at level 9. I think Garchomp belongs in C tier. I don't think he's a bad character. I think he's much better than people give him credit for, but by doing things like removing the crit from his dragon moves on Dragon Rush and Dragon Claw, I don't know why they did that. That kind of hurt him a lot. He has a strategy involving just split pushing the entire game, but I don't think that strategy is very viable when you can just either play on the other side of the map and absolutely decimate the enemy team, take Dreadnoughts, and just beat them at Zapdos or whatever. He kind of wants to like shred objectives, but he doesn't have really a means to secure objectives like a character like Cinderace would if he were to do that, so I don't think his strategy just really pans out for what kind of character he is. It's pretty hard to stick on top of people too.
And last but certainly not least, the newest edition of the game, Dragonite. A lot of people are saying this thing is busted. I know you've got a lot of games on Dragonite. What are your thoughts? Where does Dragonite fall?
So Dragonite is pretty much the only thing I've played since the patch drop. I've played a lot of Dragonite. I have probably almost 100 games, if not more, on him. I think Dragonite's extremely strong, and I think he is actually game-breaking. I think he belongs in S tier. So the reason why I say Dragonite is game-breaking is, weirdly, despite being a pretty late Evo, he has a really good early game. So if you're playing him jungle, once you hit level 5, you're probably the strongest jungler at Bees. I've been able to force every single player I have ran into off of Bees at the first Bees, even Lucarios. You can beat E-Speed Lucario, you can beat any other jungler, so that's very strong. But then on top of this, the second you hit level 8 and you get Hyper Beam, you have access to the best secure in the game. Hyper Beam is absolutely insane. You can kill Dreadnought at about 18%-ish health or something like that. It's absolutely nutty secures. And then you can kill Articuno at like 10% health or something. It is actually insane. Hyper Beam is the best secure in the game, and because of this, I think it's pretty game breaking. By playing Dragonite jungle, you pretty much guarantee that you get first Dreadnought, which allows you to snowball really hard. And then I didn't even mention the fact that you can spam the Unite move to keep people safe. You can spam the Unite move to get around the map. You can use it to farm, you can use it to fight, you can use it for anything. And then combine this with the fact that it doesn't have to be played in jungle, it can also be played bot lane. We've been playing it attacker mainly, actually, instead of like Pikachu and Venusaur. This character is actually insane. It has so much potential. Honestly, there's even like, we call them degen comps. The comps where you just like score over and over again, the kinds we were talking about that the Japanese players play. He has a lot of merit in those as well because he has spammable ults for buddy barriers, can get around the map quickly. He wins a lot of 1v1s. He has great secure for like Zapdos and Rotom and Dreadnought and whatnot. This character is just insane. It has so much potential.
Well, there you have it. What better perspective than to get the #1 player in the game to give you their thoughts on the tier list for Pokemon Unite post Dragonite update. I think it might be worth spending your 10,000 coins on Dragonite as it has launched. A big shout out to Rhinne for joining me, and you guys can check out Rhinne's channel in the description below. Show him some love. Like I said, he's creating some great content, and he leads the charge as the jungler for my esports team, Team Shiny. So I'm excited to have you kind of carrying us because everyone knows I need that giant backpack, that's for sure. Shout out to our sponsor for today's video, Mobile Legends Bang Bang. You can find more information about that in the description below as well. Like the video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And for myself and Rhinne, we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.